Rob, obviously been nothing but big fights and headliners for you for years and years, but coming to Las Vegas, International Fight Week, I mean, it's been a while since you've had one of these. Is it special to you in your career, or is it just the next job assignment?
No, definitely. When the fight fell through in February, I wanted to fight on Fight Week. I was like, if we have to put a fight together, make it on Fight Week, because it's a special week. It's a special week for the sport, and I guess nostalgic in some way.
Yeah. And quite the crew from the Australia, New Zealand area. I mean, I wonder if there's a sense of pride. I mean, you've kind of been the leader of that charge for a while. Now there's this massive crew of you. Does it mean something to you to have this representation here?
Yeah, definitely. I'm proud of the impact that I've had on the sport, especially in Australia. But it's like having a slice of home. And I think Fight Night is going to be really cool to see all the Aussies, up-and-coming Aussies and New Zealanders on the card, just doing their thing.
Yeah, very nice. All right, the assignment you have here, I mean, obviously you fought legends of the sport. Where does Dricus stack up? I mean, do you see him as on the level of the athletes that you've been fighting?
Definitely. He's the most dangerous fight to date. And that's because he's the one that's unwritten. Everything in hindsight's easy, right? But he's the unknown. And I understand the dangers that he presents, because not only is he well-rounded and an athlete, and he, physically he's a big guy. He's not a small fella. He has nothing to lose. Everyone's already washed him. He's the underdog in this fight. And tell me something more dangerous than a man with nothing to lose, everything to gain. And to show respect for that level of danger that he's brought. I have trained like a madman for the last 14 weeks. And, may the best man win. He's going to get the best version of myself come the weekend.
Is it difficult for you to accept assignments like that? Because like you said, I mean, he's got everything to gain, nothing to lose. I mean, when you would figure out the other side of that equation, is it difficult for you to step into fights like that, given all that you've already done in your career?
Mate, that's the business. That's the business. If you're not up and coming, you're stopping the up and comers, aren't you? So, it's just part of the gig.
Nice. Last thing for me, you clearly can't look past Saturday night, but I think everybody's looking towards Australia in 9 weeks. Is that even a consideration to you that, a win here, maybe I could be in a championship matchup in 2 months? Or, I know you like time with the family, and, is that even a consideration in your eye?
I'd like to fight in Sydney. It's one of those things, but yeah, my calendar doesn't go past the weekend right now. Nothing matters past the weekend. Just got to get past this obstacle first.
Rob, over here. A lot's been made from Dricus' team about his nose surgery and like this 18% or whatever it was oxygen that he wasn't able to get in his previous fights. How much do you look into that, and do you think it will play a difference in the fight?
I laughed it off at first, right? I laughed it off and thought, oh, yeah, whatever. But then I got like a stuffy nose and went to training, and it was tiring, man. Like, it couldn't get any. So maybe there's some truth to that. Regardless, I didn't train the last 14 weeks for one round. I didn't train not to expect him to come out like a racehorse. So I'm not too worried. I don't expect him to gas. It's just setting myself up for failure.
And I feel like in entering his most recent fights, a lot of people expect his opponent to kind of use Dricus as the launching pads. Like they're writing Dricus off before, and he just keeps proving people wrong. Why do you think all of these pundits and fans kind of haven't viewed him as this potential contender throughout his career?
I don't understand anybody who underestimates their opponents. We're in the fight game. We're in the best company in the world with the best fighters in the world. I don't understand where you think every single one of those guys in the division isn't going to knock your block off if you aren't ready. It just seems a little silly. He's the guy that if you underestimate, he's going to run over you. Especially with his greatest strength, which is I think his resilience, because he's been so close to defeat multiple times, yet somehow scraped victory. That's a scary trait to have.
Were you surprised that they gave you Dricus? Because a lot of people just assumed that they might try to make the Israel fight because they were kind of going back and forth, and you had already fought Israel twice, and maybe they didn't want you to knock off a future contender. Were you surprised that they gave you Dricus?
No, I asked if it was free. After February fell through, the bank account's looking a little slim, so yeah, let's get busy.
And last one for me, Saturday is also going to be Robbie Lawler's last fight, and then he's going to retire. I'm curious if you have a favorite memory from Robbie's career or favorite fight.
Mate, he's an absolute legend. He was, when I was a welterweight, I remember watching him, and I remember saying to myself, like, screw fighting that guy. Like, because he's just so malicious. He becomes, like, soulless when he's fighting. And, like, you can tell he would bite you if he could. Like, you know? And, that was an intimidating dude. So he's had an outstanding career, and I am privileged to be able to be on his last fight card.
Rob, over here. We had a big middleweight fight last week with Sean Strickland and Abus Magomedov. Did you happen to watch it, and if so, what did you think of the result?
I did, and I thought that was an outstanding performance by Strickland. I thought he just went out there, stuck to his guns, and just probably his best performance to date. Unreal.
What do you make of some of the matchmaking in your division? It looks like they're trying to push new contenders like Abus fighting Strickland. We've got Ikram fighting Paulo Costa. Do you think that's good, or do you think some of these guys are kind of getting a little bit fast-tracked?
No, it's good. That's the UFC. That's the game. That's the division. It's rife with opportunity. All you need to do is just reach for it and make sure you're prepared. I think introducing new blood's always good. It keeps things interesting, keeps you on your toes, you know.
And again, you're getting a 3-round fight here. I know you've had that last couple, but does the preparation change at all for the fact that it's not 5 rounds?
Yeah, certainly. It's the work is just as hard, but the pacing is different. You know, you're preparing to get the most out of 3 rounds, with the 3rd round being as good as the first. It's different if you're preparing for 5 rounds and the 5th round being as good as your first. Okay, it's just a different pacing, different regime.
And just last one for me, another big fight that took place a couple weeks ago of 2 opponents you fought, Jared Cannonier and Marvin Vettori. What did you think of Jared's victory over him? It was a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah, another stellar fight, mate. Unreal performance by Cannonier. Did his thing. Got a bit hairy there in the first round, but he pulled through. He wore out Vettori and gave him a pretty good beating. Vettori, I don't know, tough guy. Just couldn't get his timing. Couldn't get into his mojo in that fight. So yeah, have to wait and see how he turns it around.
Hey Rob, you've obviously been the face of Australian MMA for so long in the UFC, right? Is it refreshing to have some new guys, carry that mantle, like Jack Della, and obviously Alex is pound for pound #1 right now? Like, is it just refreshing to have Australia be the new blood right now?
I wouldn't say that word refreshing. I think it's great that Australian athletes, and especially Australian mixed martial artists, we're everywhere now. We're at the highest level of just about every division. And it is great to see. It is great to see. It's great to see it because the growth, it only affects the growth of the sport in Australia, which opens doors of opportunity for all the up-and-coming athletes that want to make a full-time gig of this. And yeah, like the question earlier, there's also a slice of home on just about every card now. So it's cool. It's really cool.
I mean, how has it been like, sitting back knowing that there's talent coming from Australia, but it was slow to get here? Yeah,
but you're making it sound like it was like a job of mine to wave the flag. I was a flag carrier. It wasn't something like I had to switch on for work. It's just not being an idiot. It's great. The sport is just getting bigger in Australia. Australian athletes are taking over the world. It is a good time to be a mixed martial artist in Australia.
Finally, I just want your thoughts on Jack Della, Matt Madalena, man. He's taken the UFC by storm. So fun to watch. Just what are your thoughts on him?
Mate, he's a good guy. Brought his wife and kid. My interactions with him have been really cool. He's just a good bloke, which is so much more important than being a good fighter.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
Rob, back here. Rob, when you look at the middleweight division, you see contenders move up and down, and you're still that guy older. What do you think's been the key to staying this consistent over the years, and even attempts at getting that title back?
Mate, firstly, I don't really look at the rankings. I don't really, unless you're the next guy I'm fighting, it doesn't matter. or unless you're in possession or the objective at the end of the game, then it doesn't matter. And so with the movements and the new blood and everything else that's happening in the division, it's cool. It's cool. But in terms of staying at the top, I guess I have drive. I have drive. My family, my kids, they give me the drive I need. Unlimited drive, unlimited fuel to do what I need to do. And my coaches are always pushing me to get 1% better every single day, to try and inch out new angles of my game so that every fight that I go into, you see a better version of myself. And I'd like to think that that's exactly what has been happening.
In terms of your skills, what's one thing you're very proud of that you've gotten good at since you've been a top contender?
Mate, I'm proud of all my skills. I think my skills across the board have gotten much better. I'm proud that I've started mixing up the takedowns a little bit more in fights, just to mix things up. But yeah, my entire skill set has been increasing.
Robert, just over here. You said that Dricus is the most dangerous to date because of that unknown, but what do you think the difference maker will be for you in terms of your strengths against Dricus? And is there anything that you feel that you need to be aware of, anything specific with him?
I've got to be aware of everything, like fights can be as simple as zigging instead of zagging, right? I'm going into this fight and I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to do the things that I've trained for months working on to make him worry about my strengths and to create holes and opportunities in his game. That's my general plan with every fight, is to create holes and opportunity. And this fight is much the same.
And I know you don't want to look past Saturday, but a win here will get you another shot at the title. How much does that mean to you, and does that put pressure on yourself?
Mate, no more pressure than there's always ever been. Every fight someone says, like, is there pressure? What about this? This fight gets you that way. It pushes you in this direction. You get, mate, winning is enough pressure. There's no need to add sprinkles on top.
By you not thinking further ahead, past Saturday, is that another way of you dealing with that and not having to think too much about what this brings?
Perhaps it might be a way that I deal with the pressure. It's just like not worrying about it, not having expectations of what the future holds. Because no point making plans for Sunday, if you don't make it out Saturday.
And just lastly, can I get a prediction for the main event on Saturday?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'm going to back Volk. Got it, right? He's and I do believe he's a powerhouse of the game. I really do. But Yair, in his last fight, looked possessed. I think he brings a different angle that Volk hasn't had to deal with, which is the kicks. But that's not to say that Volk doesn't have the skill set to nullify those. I think, I'm very interested in this fight. I'm going to back Volk. He's got to be the favourite in this fight. But, it's going to be a tough one.
Thank you.
Robert, back here. A quick question for you. You talked at the beginning about, nothing but easier than fighting with house money and how dangerous a man is that has nothing to lose. This is the biggest betting favorite you've been in your time in the UFC. I'm kind of just curious, do you think that is deserved? Kind of just curious your take on the betting line being as big as it is.
Mate, what do the odd makers know?
Good question. And the other question I have for you, obviously in Las Vegas, just kind of curious what your favorite things about Las Vegas are.
Mate, I love Las Vegas. I love fighting here. I really do. It does feel like a home away from home at this point, just because I've been here so many bloody times. I love the Strip. There's always someone up. It's good to look out the window and to see the people walking around, the lights on. I don't know. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
And any favorite table games to scrap into sometimes?
Say that again, say
Do you have any favorite casino table games to get into sometimes?
Mate, I used to enjoy gambling, the odd punt, the odd roulette, the spin of the wheel, the odd roll of the dice. I enjoyed it until I realised that I'm not willing to lose enough to make any money that matters. And then all the fun went away. I don't know what it was, So anybody listening that has a problem or just loses $200 here or there, yeah, think about it.
Robert, got one for you, the back right. In your assessment of watching Dricus, what do you feel has made him so successful?
His resilience and his ability to not quit. He's an athlete, he's talented, he's got a very well-rounded skill set. And the fact that he doesn't quit is dangerous. It's dangerous. It'll be a lot of guys that do. And you've seen that time and time again in his fights. He's been so close to losing and then scraped victory because he doesn't quit, and then his opponents do.
Has that almost posed the challenge to you then to see if you can, so to say, break him?
Oh, it's not about breaking him. It's about being better than him. I'm going to try and dismantle him. I'm going to try and create holes and opportunity that I can exploit to take the win.
Thank you, sir.